Hey everyone, Josh with Royal Treatment. Tonight I'm going to tie one of my favorite winter steelhead flies, black and blue marabou tube, something that I fish quite a lot for winter steelhead. Just a real basic, simple fly, something like this. If you've ever seen inside my fly box or come and ask me about fly selection, I basically have just a few flies, mostly what you see in my box. Black and blue, red and orange, or pink and orange. And I basically have two different styles, a marabou tube and a rabbit strip. So something that fishes shallow into the soft inside edges, something that fishes deep into those deeper buckets. And then I basically have, like I said, two colors, bright, dark. And so I have really minimized my choice overload, if you will. There's not a lot of different flies for me to choose from in my box. Makes it really simple. And to simplify matters even more, if we're fishing together and you have the black and blue one on, I'm gonna put the red and orange one on. So that's kind of about my color choice. Maybe the only selection would be if I am by myself, I'll probably go with black and blue, and that's what we're gonna tie up tonight. I like to use a lot of tube flies. This is tied on the Pro Sport Fisher Clear 4040. I put a cone on there, but you don't have to. Without a cone can be just fine. Maybe it'll even fish into the softer inside edge a little bit more. There's also those little raw weights, those tungsten donuts that you can put on there. I tie my fly really simple. I put just a few materials on. I'm not trying to build up a lot of bulk or have this like big silhouette. I don't really think it works. I think when you're really fishing your fly, you know, you're basically gonna have a fly that no matter what you do with it is gonna fish down about that small. So like maybe the size of a number 2 pencil or a little bit larger. If I put too much stuff and try to have this big profile, you have a fly that becomes too hard to cast, doesn't sink, and isn't gonna fish where I want it to. If I want something that's gonna actually get down deep and fish in that deeper pocket water, like I said, I'm gonna put a barbell eye fly on. And I think that, you know, as you get more and more into fishing, or you see what a lot of experienced anglers or guides are using, you're gonna see a lot of flies like this in their box. And so this is my version, and I'm gonna show you how to tie it. Let's go. So I'm gonna start with the 4040 Pro Sport Fisher Flexitube. Clear is what this one is. You can use any color you want. I'm gonna take and I'm gonna snip about half of the back of this thing off. You don't need it to be that long. Then I'm just gonna take it, slide it on top of that needle, or on that needle as far as it'll go. And then I'm gonna start tying on some thread. And what's gonna happen is that thread is gonna also help to bind that tube, so it'll kind of stop it from spinning. Now, if you're, depending on what you want to do weight-wise, this could be a point where you add one of those raw, you know, Pro Sport Fisher raw weights, that kind of donut-looking deal. They're made out of tungsten. They sink fast. They're heavy. I don't normally do that, but if it's a consideration that sometimes maybe if I have something in mind where I'm going to need to fish really deep, I'll do that. So I'm going to lay down just a quick base of thread, grab a quick dubbing loop there, and I don't know that this helps a ton, but I like to just have this little dubbing ball in there, and I like to use that Senyo's Fusion Dub in the Smurf blue. Great color. It's kind of blue and purple. Definitely fits perfectly in with this black and blue. And I don't grab a huge pinch, so maybe about an inch worth. What I'm trying to get is about 5 wraps. I'm gonna put it right in the dubbing loop there, kind of slide it right up to the top, something like that. So basically now you can see it's maybe 2 inches. Give it a really good spin there. You can see it'll really start to tighten up well. So tonight I'm using the Danville 6/0 thread. It's a nice flat laying, easy to tie with. when you go to finish this fly, it'll help to make a really good flat head, especially if you do it without a cone or anything. And just kind of pick at this for a minute, try to get a little bit of that fiber to come out. Something like that. And what I'm going to kind of do is make this a little bit of an X wrap, so they're kind of wrapping over themselves and locking each other back in. So just like that. So it is literally like a little ball. Lock down my thread. And I don't think you guys are going to believe how quick and easy this fly is to tie. So there's my dubbing ball. And I take my underfur comb and I put a little piece of Velcro on the back end so I can brush this out a little bit. I don't want it to be too crazy, but it can have a little bit of motion and movement back there. Now I'm going to get my Marabou. And what I'm going to do with Marabou is I'm going to strip this bottom half apart. But what I'm going to look for is where this stem bends. So kind of right there. And I'm going to basically strip from there down off. So I want the flexible thin part of the stem, so something like that. And I'm going to tie this in by the tip and just find where it kind of, the thickness of that stem changes and the feather gets to be just a little bit longer. So you have kind of a strong anchor when you tie it in. You don't want it to break, which as I say that is probably exactly what's going to happen. And I just take and fold that part back. Just like that. And if you want to trim that, go ahead. And what I do is I leave that stem on. I like to use it as a handle. And I just kind of brush it all back. Start wrapping. And I'm looking to get, 4 turns or 5 turns, something like that. And I don't want it to be too thick. I don't like to use a lot of Marabou on my fly. I don't need to have the thickest fly possible. What you notice is the more Marabou you have on there, the more buoyant your fly becomes. So I typically only do 1 piece of Marabou. Fly is a little bit thinner, so I think that was 6 wraps right there. So that's what I'm looking for, that kind of look right there. And I'm just going to lock this in. And I'm just going to give a good 5 or 6 wraps to make sure that stem is really secure, because the worst possible thing you can have happen is that thread unwrapping and unraveling that piece of Marabou. So there we go. Like I said, this is kind of a quick and dirty fly. So dubbing, Marabou collar. I like to add Krinkle mirror flash. This is purple, but you can honestly use any color. It seems crazy, but the orange and the red both look good on here. They have a tendency to take up whatever color you put them with. So it's kind of whatever. So I like to basically take 2 strands and I put 2 on each side. So I kind of measure them out, even them up. And I'm going to fold them in half around the thread. And I like them to be on the side. And so kind of just like that. So 2 on one side. There's 2 more. And I just leave this whole thing in the bag so it kind of stays contained. Just cut that little top edge there. Double it over. Try to find the middle. Put it on the other side. So just like that. So that looks pretty good. So not a lot of flash, not too much crazy stuff going on with this thing. Now, you could easily be done. You could put on a little piece of schlappen for a collar in front. I like to do a little wing over the top. I like to do this blue Arctic fox. It's not mandatory. It gives it just a little more, maybe, I don't want to say bulk to the fly, but it gives it another maybe dimension. And so I just am looking for a little clump, maybe something like that. Give a little chop there. And what I'm going to do is take that same under fur comb out all that kind of stuff that we don't need, like that. Give it a little trim to even it up right there. And I'm just going to do one nice loose wrap over the top like that. Now if you wanted to tie it in reverse and fold it back, you certainly could. Now that's going to basically be my fly. I'm going to put a cone on just to see how it's going to fit on there. So that's what it's going to look like. So I'm feeling pretty good there. Give this guy just a couple more wraps. Now I'm going to whip finish. So now my fly is going to basically be done. Pull that Marabou that got stuck in my whip finish out of the way. Okay, so that is my finished fly. I like to use a little bit of Zap-A-Gap, and what this is going to do for us is to help glue everything in place and kind of make it one. Stop that wing from slipping out. It's also going to glue that bead on and help to put it into place and make this thing just become basically bulletproof. So there's all that on there together. Pull everything out of the way. Slide that on as far down as you can get it. And just hold it for a second. This stuff dries really fast. Pull that guy off. Okay, so now this thing is all together. I'm just going to take with my scissors or a razor blade, either way, and trim and leave just maybe a 1/16 of an inch or something like that in front. And I like to hold this vertical. Might be hard for you guys to see. Hold this. I'm trying to rotate it around so you can see it. Something like that. Hold it vertical. And I'm just gonna touch it with the lighter. And you can see it roll over on itself right there. And now it's heated up and rolled over, laying down, and now this thing is all kind of locked into place. And now you can see we have this nice kind of 50-50 black and blue tube fly, half black, half blue. It's going to have a lot of movement. It's going to look really good in the water. It's got a little bit of flash, not too much. And this is going to be a very, very easy fly to cast. This is just going to be one of those flies that you can fish and not even have to think about it. And the nice thing is, on these winter days when we have high water and you're trying to fish into the soft inside edges, this fly will actually get there and allow you to fish those soft pieces. I hope you enjoy. Hope you tie this fly. Tie it in every color combo you like and catch a bunch of fish with it. Thanks.